last session, we have seen numericals based on our steam formation process. In today's session, we will see throttling process, and even based on that, we will see throttling calorimeter, and we'll also study what is calorimeter. This is Faizan Kagdi, and I welcome you all to our lecture series of Basic Mechanical Engineering. So let's begin with our topic. Now, as you can see on your screen, the diagram of a throttle valve is shown. Okay, so what is a throttling process? So we would say it is a process in which a high pressure fluid is converted into a low pressure fluid at constant enthalpy by using a throttle valve or a porous plug. Which means in this process enthalpy will remain constant, as well as we are going to achieve pressure reduction. Okay. Now how we are going to achieve, we will see that is based on our two equations, two concepts. That is, first is on a Bernoulli's equation and second is based on a continuity equation. And even we are going to use first law of thermodynamics for an open system to understand that how we are going to achieve constant enthalpy. Okay, so first of all let us understand the diagram. As you can see in our first diagram, I have shown an insulated pipe through which let's say that a steam is flowing. So initially the steam is of a high pressure. After passing through this orifice portion or a narrow passage, its pressure is going to be reduced, and that is done by means of a throttle valve. That is because of a reduction in area of a pipe. Okay, so first condition is that steam is totally insulated, which means there will be no heat transfer from a system to a surrounding. Then after, a purpose of narrow passage is that at a narrow passage we would say we are going to apply a continuity equation, that is our Q is equal to area into velocity. Discharge is equal to area into velocity. If area reduces, then what is going to happen? So you know that velocity is going to increase at that narrow passage, right? If a velocity increases, then by using our Bernoulli's equation, that is PV plus 1 upon 2 mv square is equal to constant. So we know PV is a flow energy in that, and half mv square means kinetic energy. So it is obviously that from Bernoulli's equation, it is a summation of kinetic energy plus pressure energy, that is flow energy, which is always going to remain constant. So if there is a reduction in one of these energy, then there is the increment in another form of energy. Right, so it is very obvious that because of continuity equation, because of a narrow passage, velocity increases, and as a result, because of from a Bernoulli's equation, we can say as the velocity increases, which means pressure is going to reduce at a narrow. So this is a concept how we are going to reduce the pressure by reducing the passage, that is by providing a narrow passage by means of a throttle valve. So it is very obvious that if I rotate this valve completely, then closing a valve will totally close the passage, and partially opening the valve will provide a narrow passage, right? So whenever there is a narrow passage, we can obtain a reduction in pressure. Similar case is that we can even achieve this throttling process by using a porous plug. So the diagram of a porous plug, you can see a plug having holes within it. Again, it is going to provide the same purpose, that is, you can see the passages or area is reducing. So because of this narrow passage, reduction in area, velocity will going to increase. As the velocity increases, its pressure is going to reduce by making use of our Bernoulli's equation. Now let's see further that how we can obtain a constant enthalpy. So as you can see on your screen, I have written according to steady flow energy equation, that is our first law of thermodynamics for an open system, which we have discussed in our chapter number 1. Right. So according to that equation, we can write, we are going to apply this equation on two sections. As you can see on a diagram that I have shown section 1.1 and section 2.2. So applying this equation on section 1 and 2, so I can write H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus Z1G plus Q is equal to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus Z2G plus W. So this is our equation which we have obtained for our first law. Okay, now in this equation, can I say for a throttling process, since pipe is insulated, which means there will be no heat transfer, so Q is equal to 0. It is very obvious. Then will there be any work output obtained, that is mechanical power will be obtained when a steam is flowing through a pipe? So we would say no, it is just flowing through a pipe. No work is done by a steam. So we can say that work output will be 0. And even you can see that the pipe is horizontal, which means there will be no change in potential energy. So we can say that Z1 will be equal to Z2. Also, we are noticing that a change in kinetic energy is negligible. That is, from section 1 to section 2, if we see C2 square minus C1 square, then the change is very negligible. We would say that it is not zero, but it is very small, so we can neglect that value. So in this equation, in order to find out equation, we are going to neglect change in kinetic energy. Okay, so we can say that after substituting all these values, that is Q is equal to 0, W is equal to 0, Z1 is equal to Z2, and change in kinetic energy taking negligible, that is 0, we can write our formula. The equation is going to become H1 is equal to H2. So this is our final equation. That is first law. After applying first law, we are getting an equation that enthalpy before throttling is equal to enthalpy after throttling. Also remember that before throttling process, if a steam is a wet steam at a high pressure, then after throttling, due to pressure reduction and constant enthalpy, steam will get converted into a superheated steam. So this is the most important result which is obtained during a throttling process. Steam before throttling, if it is a wet steam, will get converted into a superheated steam, and this concept is used for determining a dryness fraction of a wet steam while we are going to study a throttling calorimeter. Okay, so let's see our next topic, that is calorimeter. So first question on the spot comes in our mind, that what is calorimeter? So we would say that calorimeter is a device which is used to measure dryness fraction of wet steam. Till now we have seen a question in which already dryness fraction of a steam was given and we were determining its enthalpy and internal energy, right? But in this process we are going to determine a dryness fraction, that is a value of X for a wet steam. Okay, so the first step of a calorimeter which we need to study is a throttling calorimeter. So it is very obvious that it is going to work on our throttling process. So remember the concept of a throttling process, that is enthalpy is going to remain constant before and after throttling. Okay, and then second, we are going to achieve pressure reduction, and third, the most important result which we are obtained is that wet steam is converted into a superheated steam. Okay, so first of all, let's understand the construction of this calorimeter. So this is a sectional view of a throttling calorimeter. Just visualize a circular cylinder, that is a cylindrical shape is shown, and within a cylinder there is a U shape provided. You can see a U line is drawn. So it is a representation of a U-shaped vessel. Okay, so first there is a cylinder. Okay, there is a cylinder, and within a cylinder there is a U-shaped vessel. Okay, and within a vessel we have placed a tube which is filled with water, and within that tube there is a thermometer which is inserted. That thermometer is going to measure temperature of a superheated steam which is achieved after throttling. Remember that. Okay, now on the right side of a vessel you can see a U-shaped manometer is given, and within that manometer we have filled a mercury. Okay, so it is basically a mercury column provided. So one side of a mercury is exposed to a superheated steam and another side of a mercury is open to atmosphere. Okay, so one side a pressure of superheated steam will be exerted on a mercury, and from another side, since it is open to atmosphere, air is going to exert a pressure. So we know that air can exert a pressure of how much? We would say 1 bar. Okay, now next question comes that why a U-shaped vessel is provided. So you can see that it is the flow of superheated steam is represented by an arrow, which means first it is going to enter directly at a center. From a center, that superheated steam will flow in a downward direction. Then after it moves in an upward direction. Then again it moves in a downward direction, that is out from outside the U-shaped vessel. So basically this U-shaped vessel which is provided within a cylinder, its purpose is to increase the path of a superheated steam. By increasing its path, superheated steam can stay for a longer period within a cylinder, that is within a calorimeter. Okay, longer is a period of a superheated steam, more accurate will be the temperature noted by a thermometer, and even more accurate pressure we can obtain by using a U-tube manometer. For that purpose, U-shaped vessel is provided. Now let's understand how it's gonna work. So we are going to supply a wet steam whose dryness fraction is to be determined through a main sampling tube. The steam is going to flow. Now it's going to come across a throttle valve which you can see it is provided. The purpose of throttle valve is to provide a narrow passage, which means that since we know wet steam is a combination of a dry steam and a water molecules. So the water molecules which are present in a wet steam will be completely vaporized because of constant enthalpy and pressure reduction, and so after throttling we will get a superheated steam. That superheated steam will enter into a calorimeter. As it enters into a calorimeter, it will flow in a downward direction as it is represented by the arrow, and while flowing through it, the heat transfer will take place from a high temperature to a low temperature water. The temperature of a water will increase till a thermal equilibrium is established, and finally thermometer is going to note down the temperature, that is T soup temperature is obtained by using thermometer. Okay, and finally that high pressurized superheated steam will enter into a U-tube manometer. It is going to push the mercury column, and you can see a difference in height is established in a U-tube manometer. So that difference in height after throttling obtained can be used to determine pressure of a superheated steam after throttling, that is pressure P2. Okay, so as you can see, I have written that P1 is a steam pressure before throttling, which is measured by pressure gauge. So before throttle valve there will be a pressure gauge provided which will measure pressure P1, and after throttling U-tube manometer will be used to measure pressure P2. Now what is the formula to obtain pressure P2? Since the manometer is just going to provide a height, so we would say we know the formula of pressure in terms of height, that is P is equal to rho G H, where rho will be density of a mercury which is present in a U-tube manometer, that is density is 13,600 kg per meter cube. G is a gravitational acceleration, and H will be the difference in a height which is obtained from a U-tube manometer. So by using this equation we can obtain pressure P2, and by using pressure gauge we can obtain pressure P1. Also, one of the most important characteristic of this calorimeter is that this calorimeter can be used to find out dryness fraction of a wet steam which is having very low portion of water molecules, that is having high dryness fraction. If dryness fraction is low, then we would say this calorimeter will fail to provide an accurate value of a dryness fraction X. Okay, that is if water molecules are low, then it cannot give accurate value. Now let's proceed further to determine dryness fraction. Now according to throttling process, we know that enthalpy before throttling at pressure P1 is equal to enthalpy after throttling at pressure P2. So that is H1 is equal to H2, which we have obtained during our throttling process, right? Now as we know that before throttling the steam is wet steam, and after throttling steam is going to become superheated. So we need to apply formula of H1 for a wet steam and formula of H2 for a superheated steam. So as you can see, I have written H1 is equal to HF1 plus X HFG1. So this enthalpy formula is for a wet steam. Now it is equal to enthalpy of a superheated steam, that is Hg2. So why I have written Hg2? So Hg2 is a enthalpy which is obtained at pressure P2. Remember that we are going to use a steam table, and from a steam table we are going to determine HF1 and HFG1 at pressure P1 and Hg2 at pressure P2, that is after throttling, which is obtained by using manometer. Okay, so the formula is Hg2 plus Cps T soup minus T set. Now further it is very simple, we can directly make X as a subject. So as you can see, I have written X is equal to Hg2 plus Cps T soup minus T set minus HF1 upon HFG1. So by using this equation we can find out dryness fraction for wet steam, and keep this in mind, it has a limitation that after throttling steam must be at least dry saturated, that is after throttling steam should become dry steam, otherwise this method will fail. This method cannot provide value of dryness fraction. Actually the requirement is a superheated steam, but if we are not obtaining superheated steam, so at least we need to obtain a dry steam to determine dryness fraction. Okay guys, so today we are keeping up till here. In our next session we will continue with our topic of calorimeter, that is we are going to see next type, that is separating calorimeter. Okay, so till then stay tuned and thank you all.